Happy Jupiter Day, collective. How's everyone's Leo wolf full moon going? From the feels that I get and just observing people online, it appears to be a sort of like a magnification of these that pull, I guess, that's sort of calling in everybody in a different way about knocking down structures that aren't doing it anymore, and cutting out behaviors, sometimes people, relationships, jobs. Um, and so I wanted to check in because, just like any sort of full moon culmination of energy and like the strong fixed energies of Leo and Aquarius, it's probably going to be a different experience depending on what's going on in your life and how long you may or may not have been avoiding some of these things that you're being made to contemplate now, right? No judgment. Just we can only figure out like the loose ends and imperfect things in our lives, but so many things at once, right? So I just wanted to see how y'all were doing, and on this Jupiter day, I wanted to I didn't, in the name of not getting too complicated up on this channel, remembering that most of the people watching this are probably just dipping their toes into the world of astrology. I didn't want to get into the aspect, a pretty significant aspect that this full moon was making. But since it is Jupiter Day, I figured, well, let's go ahead and hop on there real quick and just point out that because Jupiter, so the planet of expansion and optimism and good fortune generally, but of course, good fortune with an asterisk, because we generally associate more and expansion and abundance, which are all associated with Jupiter, as good things. But uh, expansion is the word I started with for a reason, because just like anything, no planet or no chart or no anything is good or bad. It just it's kind of like a whole picture that you have to look at, and the aspects that any planet is making at any given time is going to sort of determine the flavor that expansive quality takes on. So like, expansiveness in like the broad sense seems good, but like when the energies of a certain lunation, for example, that are possibly like bringing in these sort of like ego deaths or um, bringing some more serious issues to the forefront of your life, when the planet of expansion touches that, or another way to say that is aspects that, well, that's like the kind of expansion to where we're like, oh, like I'll pass on the expansion this go around. Thanks, Jupiter. But of course, it doesn't work like that. So, in case you were sitting there wondering, like, why don't I just feel like the courageous Leo the lion? And like, I thought the full moon, like, I chose the right attitude. I'm going to lean into my creativity. And like, I get that. It's probably helping you, number one. But uh, just like any sort of shift and sort of personal transformation that might um, be part of this stage in your life, the planet of expansion sort of aspecting that. So Jupiter is in Taurus right now, fixed Earth, and then the full moon axis is Leo and Aquarius, so fixed fire, fixed air. So what that means is it's square. It's forming what we call T square. And the reason it's called that is because, like, if you were to look at like the circle wheel, you see it, all the corners, you see the fixed sign. So it's going to be like Aquarius and Leo and Taurus and Scorpio. So the only one not involved in this whole thing is Scorpio. So when you have three of the fixed signs involved aspecting in something, that's generally what you're going to call a T square. So, and a square, as I've pointed out in other videos, is like a challenging aspect. Like it's unlike a trine, which is like a harmonious flow, a square, just sort of picture like a square within a circle, and then imagine how like you know, it would be like going like this and this and this and like sort of bumping into the corners like all the way around, instead of just this harmony of like a triangle, or like, just like, of course, a circle. um a square is a challenging aspect, but I find that, for example, like in your natal chart, if you're someone that has a lot of squares in your chart, you're probably somebody that is like, you got a lot of grit. Like, the thing about people that have tons of harmonious aspects in their chart, naturally, uh, at first you want to look at it and go, oh, lucky, but no, not really, because when that energy comes natural to you, you take it for granted. You probably take a while to even realize those are innate talents or gifts, and therefore you've never had to work as hard for a thing that you may or may not even know is there, like laying within your like wheel of possibilities. Whereas people with lots of squares, they've had to kind of like they've had to sort of fight their whole lives to get to sometimes to just like the basic places that other people find come easy to them. But either way, let alone goal setting, when you've got lots of squares, um, you're gonna have to like fight a little harder than other people. And so when you get to a certain stage in your life, you are you find yourself sort of uniquely equipped for the sort of collective transits that are challenging. So anyone that has like a lot of challenging aspects in their chart, especially squares, but lots of Plutonian energy, or Scorpio energy or whatever, you're probably finding this era to be sort of a little bit like you're feeling a little bit less like the underdog, and sort of like, wow, I've been training my whole life for this. So I wanted to point out the whole square that was at work with the full moon right now, because, uh, my goal isn't to come on here and like give you sunshine and roses. But I also don't want you to sit there and think that there's something uniquely wrong with you if you've sat there and like really tried to cultivate this good attitude of what's wrong? I got my creative spark ready, and why do I feel like this? Well, number one, I don't know what your individual chart looks like, so that's like quite a big factor. But either way, under the common energy that we're all feeling, we've got that Jupiter T square going on. So Jupiter in and of itself, again, sort of like generally considered to be a fortunate planet, but we already have this like pretty strong energy of the Leo Aquarius axis and this full moon, and the sun and Pluto being in Aquarius and sort of facing down, like opposing the full moon in the sky of Leo. So those are very strong energies at play. And like the thing is, everyone is under them, and depending on like what area of your life these axes, like the Taurus, wherever Taurus is in your chart, wherever Leo is, and wherever Aquarius is, these are like specific areas of your life that you're probably feeling these tugs the most. But like I said, that's obviously going to be different for everyone. So I just wanted to come in with that little bit of hey, don't worry, if this is something that you're feeling, and to sort of put another angle on it, just sort of reminding you that there are other planets out there, and they're also in signs that aren't necessarily the easiest, again, depending on what's going on in your life. So as you know, we've got, even though the sun just entered Aquarius, we're kind of just freshly into Aquarius season, which means we just recently left Capricorn season, the cardinal Earth, soul ruler Saturn. So that's like that very, that's a severe energy. It gets you through the winter, right? So there's some there's some serious action going on in Capricorn right now. Like, aside from everything I just said, right now in Capricorn, you got Mercury. So, the learning and communication and thinking and ideas, like your cerebral activity. Mercury is in Capricorn right now, and Mercury is right next to, so conjunct Mars, like planet of action, the god of war, like conflict, aggression, co-ruler of Scorpio, ruler of Aries. So when you put Mercury and Mars together, it's sort of like uh well, your thoughts are like your biggest battle right now, like the battle that you're waging like against yourself internally is something that might be there with you. But then if someone like looks at you the wrong way, or like snatches your parking spot, or like whatever, um you probably are going to have to work a little bit extra hard under that energy to bite your tongue and sort of like reel yourself in when you've got Mercury sitting there just right up on Mars, in the Saturn ruled sign of Capricorn. It's sort of like, it can be good. Like you can channel that as sort of like putting action, like putting your thoughts to action, and like sort of, it would be a really good time to like sort of be in hermit mode and like sticking to yourself and like really planting the seeds and like planning something out, to bring to fruition, little by little as time passes, and sort of avoid crowds or socialization that feels obligatory. Like it would be not a great time to accept an invitation to be social if you know you're not feeling sociable at all. Like it would not be a great time to accept any sort of invitation out of obligation, just period. Because unless of course you're just like such a master at wrangling in these energies, then go for it, make you even better at it, right? But I'm talking to the people that maybe aren't like quite as aware of these sort of energetic pools that tug on your emotions and tug on your ability to feel like at ease in the way you would maybe want to in a social situation. So I wanted to point that out. And the one that I want to kind of focus on, aside from Mercury and Mars, I want to talk about Venus, because Venus, the planet of love and like harmony and beauty and like aesthetics and art and pleasure and desire. Everyone has a sort of like intuitive understanding of what Venusian qualities are. So Venus is in Capricorn also, and like you might think to yourself, Venus in Capricorn, ooh. And I will say, like, um, Venus in Capricorn, it's not known to be like the best place to have Venus, and I'm just going to say that's where I have Venus. But I don't know. I'm partial to my Venus in Capricorn, and here's why. So like I said, Capricorn is plans for the long term. Like Capricorn doesn't waste your time. Capricorn is ruled by Saturn. When you combine the energies of Venus and Saturn, there's sort of this like intuitive energy that like a Venus and Capricorn person puts out, that especially in relationships, romantic or otherwise, business, friends, whatever, it's sort of the love is shown through like persistence, steadfastness, reliability, loyalty, and standing on business. Like if you say you're going to do something, you hold yourself out to be something for somebody. Venus in Capricorn does that. Like you don't have to worry about a Venus in Capricorn's intentions when it comes to the long haul with you. Like a Venus in Capricorn is not going to waste your time with a bunch of silly games and a bunch of like sort of a fleeting idea of love and a fleeting idea of romance. Like a Venus in Capricorn shows their love for you as a friend and otherwise, by being there. Like by when they say that they're going to be there for you, and they say yes, you can take that to the bank. And a Venus in Capricorn shows love through um, acts of service, yes, to an extent, like, but not in the Virgo sense, like sort of um, you're part of my solid foundation, friend or lover or business partner. And so if you need something, I'm probably going to be paying close enough attention to the details to have already stepped in and like helped you with that, or to step in and like without judgment, just do what needs to be done for the long-term benefit of us both, as like as people, two or more, building upon like a relationship or like a business idea or whatever. you can count on Venus in Capricorn. That's the thing. So as you might associate also with this idea of Venus and what a Venus in Capricorn would find beautiful, and like um, if I see like even in architecture or like art or like anything of Venusian quality, you can be sure that if it has structure, timelessness, though I guess those are the two words I would associate with the Venus and Capricorn's idea of beauty. And I mean, I kind of have authority to speak on this, but for me, it's like, that saying, a thing of beauty is a joy forever. It's almost like, in some weird way, a Venus in Capricorn might have a soft spot for the idea of like a joy forever is a thing of beauty, as weird as that might sound. So, in other words, like something simple and like pleasurable, like that has been sort of like cultivated and like nurtured and like sort of been part of your idea of beauty or fun or pleasure for a long time, and like often, say it's like a craft or like a skill or a hobby, and like you've just like worked on it over time and like perfected it, like sort of refined and mastered even like the simplest of skills. That itself is like something beautiful. That itself, it's like a commitment to like the mundane, and therefore what becomes sort of like a commitment and repetition of something mundane over time that's done for like Venusian purposes, like beauty, to create something beautiful, or to for your own sort of like pleasure and like relaxation, like all of those things. After a while, you become like a master at it, and it shows in the product, like it shows in the output. Sometimes just in the process, with like just the grace with which you can do something simple, or the fine motor skills, like in just simple woodwork, that like you noticing every single little detail, and like having the perfect little tool for each little detail, even if the final product is just something so simple and small that someone else might just like not even notice. That's not that's not really the concern of a Venus in Capricorn's idea of beauty. It's there's like a refinement that comes through Saturnian things, such as time, commitment over time, repetition, putting in the work over time. And so I wanted to talk about that because it's easy to sort of be like, oh, January, like, is there any sort of thing that can be given a more sort of positive spin? And so, I mean, I think, again, being personal to Venus and Capricorn, it's not really a spin. I just I like to I'm sort of like the cheerleader for it, because yeah, it's not as you put Venus in a water sign and it's like the romance, and like the Piscean, a Piscean Venus is like very dreamy and ethereal, and it's sometimes a Capricorn Venus like would probably look at like a very flowy type Venus, and just like almost like effortless, like they just literally waltzed out of the sea with mermaid hair or something. And that's got its own beauty, of course, but like a Venus in Capricorn is often, Venus in Capricorn is like going to buy like they might be wearing like an all black suit or something, or like earth tones, but it is like the best tailored, best structured sort of. I buy the best quality thing once, and then like I take care of it for as long as I can, like for as long as it'll let me. I will take care of it, and I will tend to this and nurture it and put in the work, like mend just the little hole um, the right way, no shortcuts, and keep it um, in a state of beauty over time, instead of like tossing it out and replacing it. And so, you know, yeah, that's like a literal, that would be a literal way that me, for example, I treat clothes, like the way I treat, especially like business stuff or any sort of like outerwear or things, to where I like to have quality over quantity. But that's also my personal approach to relationships, like friendships, romantic relationships, and anything, and the thing is, I don't you usually don't have to guess where you stand with a Venus in Capricorn. They're not even going to bother pitching themselves to you as a friend or otherwise if they don't intend on standing on business for you. So I want to have this moment to talk about Venus in Capricorn because uh, in this era of sort of Pluto and Aquarius and like reconsidering our ideas about individuality, um, but in a group, right? Like sort of asserting our individuality and talents within the collective. So sometimes that's like your little community that you build, you know, around where you live, or like your community of friends or whatever. Um, I don't know. I kind of think like as these themes are swirling about right now, incorporating the idea of like a Venus and Capricorn's approach to love is probably a good energy to channel, regardless of where your Venus is, because um, one thing I personally feel and am excited about is what I feel to be like an era of like platonic love coming more to the forefront. Like, and there are a lot of other like sub topics I could go into that would you know, also support that. But just like for the purposes of this video, um, especially if you have experienced like the shattering of some romantic relationship recently, or like, you know, even not recently, um, don't forget about friends and like old ones, people that you thought that maybe like, oh, those are just my friends from the past, and like they don't, you know, they've all moved on with their lives, and like, you know, that was then. And you'd be surprised at like what it can do for you to sort of go back to where you started when you can, like that one friend that you always mean to catch up with when you're back in your hometown or something, or that one friend where you always seem to be able to pick up where you left off, and like it just makes you feel like it brings you back to who you are um, before you maybe had heartbreak and like doubted yourself and like your professional path, and like wondered like how much of who you were back then that people still remember and like love and value. You know, it's like not a bad time to revisit your idea of love, and then like specifically your idea of platonic love. And like if you feel lonely and you wish you had a romantic relationship, I really get that. It's just that in the whole name of like sort of focusing on yourself, like repairing your relationship with yourself so that we can like get to repairing it with others. I would say like if you are working on yourself right now and you feel you have this like sort of love to give, I get that. Because you don't want to become angry. You don't want to let something that failed romantically turn you into somebody that like, you know, uh sort of clams up and doesn't let yourself give and receive love. I would argue that you need to double down and like love even more, love even harder and louder than you did before. And that's where that courage comes in that I was talking about with the strength card. Muster that Leo energy. But when you get to the point where you feel that you have like that good self love going and you've like put that into practice, um, you don't have to jump right into romance and like get on the dating apps and all that. I mean, like you do you, but it's maybe like go back to the basics, like go to your friends and make sure that your friends know how you feel about them. Make sure your friends know that you love them. Make sure, and not everyone's like a verbal "I love you" person. That's fine, but like um, a Venus and Capricorn would show their friends they love them by like being there for them, by like oh, you need me to show up for you, like oh, I'll do that, or you need me to like give you my attention, like sort of my undivided attention, and give you thoughtful, like responsive feedback, and sort of that Saturnian serious quality that it's easy to like sort of scoff at when you're thinking about Venusian things. But you'll be glad you have Venus and Capricorn in your life when it comes to having like someone serious who understands the value of longevity and like the trust that comes with longevity. When someone is like feeling down or dark or like in a time of need, or a time to where you in a world where it's like a lot of people sort of like especially online, charading and like pretending somebody solid, like steadfast, that shows up for you, and that being your reminder that you are loved by maybe not a romantic partner, but by a friend. And so I wanted to go on my little spiel about that because, as you see my t-shirt, this was like the high school I went to in Charlotte, North Carolina. And I, this past weekend, was able to just have the most awesome reunion. And it was like, not, there are a lot of people I would love to still see that I haven't seen from high school in a long time, but like I got to see some people that like I have not seen since last time since when I bought this shirt, which was like 2 decades ago, maybe almost 2 decades ago. And especially after like the last year in my life and sort of feeling like untethered and like having to work really hard on the self-love, and proudly actually getting to the point to where I was able to sort of stand in who I am and like be okay with the progress I'd made, and then like create something, like put that love and creative energy into a project, like sort of the world that lives inside me expressed with love online for whoever needs it. And here we are. So, it would be tempting after that stage to like sit there and get down on yourself and be like, well, what about romantic love and all that? But it's like, my personal theory on that is that comes, I think, organically. Like what's meant to come for you will happen in the natural course of things. If you yourself stick with the natural course of things. Like, so for me, when I was, when I had the opportunity to like make some shit happen, like I have a lot of constraints right now in my life about being able to like travel too far and for too long. I tapped into friendships and people that were reliable and steadfast in my life. And I was like, I'm going to really try to make this work and like go and meet up with these people. And so, tapping into the friends that have been there for me in numerous ways, but I just hadn't asked them to be there in this specific way, at least in this new stage of my life. And of course they were. And, it was like important to me to be able to go see these other friends. And so these friends that I have here, I knew either one of them, between the husband and the wife, would have been willing to help. They both have been very helpful to me in many ways. So, in this case, like I had my friend, the husband, come and like tend to my dogs so that I could go and like drive a little bit longer than like I normally would for a friend gathering. But this was like a special friend gathering. I had friends I hadn't seen in a long time, and then I had like, at a friend's house who like I'd only seen twice last year, but even that was for the first time in like 20 years. And so um just being around these people, I was like, wow, like, I love these people. I freaking love these people. I'm really glad that I came here. And the drive to make it happen and like the logistics, it seems just like it was like nothing. It was just like, well, yeah, of course that makes sense. I would do this over and over again and twice on Sundays. It was just it was like a sort of fulfilling thing that, of course, I knew it would be, but like even more so after the fact, I realized like, wow, I really needed that. I'm really glad I did that. And I guess the most unexpected emotion afterwards was like sort of this angst. I was like, man, I really wish I could have stayed longer, because in my past um, interactions with these people, of course, in high school, I didn't have the same constraints, which, I mean, who can't relate to that I do now. So I wasn't used to having to be like, oh, well, I gotta go and drive all the way back to my house in this other city. Um, but it was like a reminder too that like sort of that thing I've said in other videos about you never know how good it can get. Like after a period of darkness and struggle and feeling alone, and then you somehow like you just kind of keep like pushing through, and then like before you know it, you just wake up one day and you're like, I feel a lot different than I did several months ago. And it's like you just get there before you know it. You just stop thinking about it, and then all of a sudden like an opportunity will come that you don't see coming, to go and be with people that you haven't been with in forever, and like to feel, to come back to yourself in a whole other way that you just don't realize how much you need it until you actually do it. And so I wanted to get on here and sort of make that little plug for platonic love, because all I could do after that gathering was think like, man, I'm so lucky. I'm so, look at all the people that like have showed up for me. Um, and like all they had to do was be them. They, you know, it's not like it was some congregation on my behalf. It was just like, you showing up as who you've always been. You show up as who you've always been, and like sort of being exactly who I remembered, except like much cooler stories and like things to catch up on. Um, and then you get to meet other people. Like I got to meet two other friends like through these mutual friends that were there, and like made two new friends, and they were great people, of course, because they were associated with those people. So it just made me feel really excited in a way that like I hadn't been for a long time, thinking like, wow, well, you know, as time passes and like I'm able to maneuver a little bit more readily, um, it made me excited to have more availability to go and like do more things with these people, and like other people that I still haven't met back up with from the past. But so you know, it's gonna be different for everyone, but don't underestimate the value of that steadfastness and the longevity of something that you know, just because you haven't tended to it for a while, assuming things were left on good terms, it's just time that separated you. um Give yourself the chance to maybe when you go back to your old stomping grounds, like calling that person up. You know, you probably talked yourself out of it because you're like, oh, they don't want to hear from me, and it's been so long, and blah, blah. Well, they probably do want to hear from you. I mean, they probably would welcome you reaching out. And I think right now, if we're all collectively feeling these sorts of like, who am I and where am I going, and that sort of necessarily entails looking back to look forward. Um, you know, assuming you didn't just blow up someone's life with some nonsense, I think that you might find something sort of like something light up inside of you that you didn't know or you forgot was there, by sort of going back to like happier times, and like checking in with somebody or checking in with these people or whoever, or even like checking in with an old place you used to go to, right? Like you go back to your hometown and there was like some old stomping grounds that you used to go to, or some coffee shop or some place that like used to make you happy, some park, just like for the hell of it, just going and like coming back to yourself in a place. So this is all very like Venus and Capricorn, sort of like getting in your feelings and being lovey-dovey towards your friends. Like, don't, why are you gonna hold back as towards your friends? Let your friends know you love them. Even if it's just in like how you show up, you know, the enthusiasm you bring, like sharing yourself and your gifts or your stories, or whatever, you know, just everyone shows up in their own different way. But I just wanted to let anyone out there know who's feeling, because I know like when February comes and you're like, oh gosh, the last thing I want is like to see this Valentine's candy in the store and all this like Valentine's nonsense. I don't know. I will say for me personally, this is just me maybe, but probably not just me. Even when I had somebody, I mean, all of my friends like who sort of been around me and used to be around us when it was us, was I was that friend like, I mean, all the way through my adulthood up until now. I made like little treats for like my friends, just like sometimes randomly, but like on Valentine's Day, I would be that person that's like, oh, I made like little Valentine's treat bags for everyone, just because I saw these really cute things at the store, and I was like, oh, let me make some little Valentine treat bags, or like Valentine cupcakes or muffins or something. I've always been like that because it's, well, an excuse to like do something creative. But like I've always been really into you know, I guess my love language is definitely gift giving. It's not, I guess it's obvious, like to anyone that is a friend. I love giving little gifts, and it's sometimes like gifts of food, or you know, baked things, or just like little prizes that I find, and you know, sort of forcing my friends to never abandon their inner child type thing. So I don't know, maybe if you're not someone that usually does that, maybe it could be a fun thing to keep your creative juices going in February, and to avoid sitting there sulking about like, oh, I don't have a Valentine, blah, blah, blah. Make your friends your Valentines. Like, who cares? Like, tell your friends you love them, or don't tell them, but just like bake them some lovely muffins or something and be like, I made these for you guys because I want you to eat them and like feel the love that went into making them, that kind of thing. Make some soup, make whatever. Um, or just like if you're crafty, like make like some whatever your craft is, make a little something, draw a picture, like a piece of art or something. Uh, so, anyways, it's up to you, but I personally feel more optimistic about receiving love um, the more freely I give it out, if that makes sense. So, you should try it. It's a good way to also like put that courage into practice. It's one thing to say, yeah, Leo the lion, Leo full moon, like here we go, I'm gonna muster my courage. Well, are you courageous enough to just like show your love for somebody with like no expectation of anything in return, just because? Just do it. You probably make someone's day, and it'll make them maybe feel a little bit more willing to do the same for someone else. And I guess that's it. So I'm gonna keep chopping these carrots. I am going to make tomorrow, I'm just doing the prep right now, it's a French lentil and carrot soup. Never made it before. But I've got some carrots and some shallots and some green lentils, herbs de Provence. I don't know if anyone has heard of this or cooks with it. It's like one of my favorite go-to herbs de Provence. And maybe I'll make a little short tomorrow when I throw it all together so you guys can see what it looks like. But I'm really excited about it. Looks really good, sounds really good, and it's got all the components of something that seems like it would turn out really good. So, anyways, hope you enjoy your Venus day tomorrow, and until next time, take care of yourselves.